What was ruined by rich people? Video games. They've found a way to sell unfinished games while also maximizing microtransactions in some. Housing. Used to be the only people buying houses were those that were intending to live in them. Now, rich people are buying up all the affordable housing, driving up the price, and creating scarcity. And is a world problem. Now, I can't buy a house because the price go up like 3 times. And if I buy one, it would be a little crappy one that I will be paying for 30 years. Your like and subscription will really help my channel. So many things, but I'll say trucks. Once upon a time, a humble working-class vehicle for people who need to be able to do things themselves. Now they're all luxury vehicles with massive margins, unaffordable to anyone who needs them to do real work. The concept of democratic government, of the rich by the rich for the rich. Any hobby where there's potential profit. Now you've got people like the Logan Paul ruining Pokemon cards. Not because they're into them because they like Pokemon, but because they read the stories about the rare cards and just hammered their endless piles of cash into getting everything. Same with those sheiks with massive comic book collections. They don't care about comics, they just collect popular, valuable stuff. Once the rich find out about anything good, they wreck it for the rest of us. Instagram. When it first launched, we were content to post grainy pics of our average-looking sandwich that we made ourselves, or a mundane selfie. The quality, background, and the angle didn't matter. Since the wealthy started sharing their lives on IG, our collective standard of living changed, and it's trickled down to our influencers, mimicking wealth down to average users. We're benchmarking our posts with professional photographers and videographers, elevating our expectations for everything. Cheap and simple dishes like ramen, tacos, sushi. Now everything's gotta be labeled premium only to taste the exact same, if not worse. Food trucks used to be a way to get good food for cheap. Now it's a premium without any of the advantages of a restaurant. Not to mention that they all expect a 20% tip for handing you food from a window. The rich have ruined the experience of concerts and sporting events. I stopped going to professional sports because I can only afford shitty seats, not worth the effort anymore. Concerts. You can't even buy a beer at one for what a general admission ticket used to cost, and people still pay for it. Every single piece of water with accessible waterfronts. Hawaii Constitution makes any place with sand touching the ocean to be publicly accessible. Definitely appreciate them for that one. Mountaineering, and especially Everest. Everest is on my anti-bucket list. I do not want to risk my life to climb it, and I would never be able to afford to anyway. It costs like $80,000 to climb if you count gear, travel, etc. Besides, it can get very crowded there now. Rich people have ruined the earth. It's hard to feel good about not using plastic straws when Elon creates more carbon emissions in one day to go see the World Cup than I create in 1 year. Thrift stores. I used to be able to buy clothes and interesting things for pennies. Now it has become popular among rich youth, and it has become very difficult to find something really good for a reasonable price. My hometown, a lot of the longtime locals here are working class, and it used to have a bigger sense of community. In the recent decade, rich people have decided that it's a cute small town with pretty scenery to buy a second home to rent out to other rich people who want to visit. Many of the long-time residents here are struggling to keep. Meanwhile, rich people who just discovered this small town can easily buy a home or rent an overpriced Airbnb. Literally disgusting here now. Clothing brands. Carhartt, Dickies, Levi's, and many more. Like, why did a Dickies shirt go from $15 to almost $40 in a few years? Theme parks. Gone are the days when everyone was equal and you all had to queue, regardless of your income. And even until recently, some theme parks gave fast passes periodically throughout the day. Now, if you've got deep pockets, you can queue jump, making your day a little better and everyone else's a little worse. 80s and 90s cars. The market is super hot right now, and all the rich guys are buying them up. Sorta like 50s and 60s cars in the 90s. Old school ski mountains with family vibes and stoner lifties rocking to music. We always watched those silly Ski Patrol movies about the big corporations coming in and making them Yuppieville, and then it happened. Bourbon. It used to be the most expensive bourbon you could find was like $100. Now, with everyone collecting, the prices have skyrocketed. The secondary market is completely insane. Hockey. The equipment is now super expensive, and ice time fees are becoming exorbitant. This isn't even getting into levels of play. If you want to have a shot at the NHL, then your family better be able to fork over $20,000 to $30,000 for AAA prep schools. Sailboats. Used to be you could on a working man's salary get a decent day sailing boat that you could go out with for the day with enough cabin space and amenities to live aboard for a long weekend, maybe a week. But nobody makes mere sailboats anymore. They make yachts. Expensive, over-designed yachts. Burning Man was the first thing I thought of when Mark Zuckerberg is helicoptering in to stay in a billionaire camp with air-conditioned mobile homes, Burning Man has lost whatever counterculture standing it had. Your like and subscription will really help me. Thanks a lot for the donations.